Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Craig Allen from WCBS News Radio 880. And I'm glad we're all here this morning. Look at us. Look at us all dressed down, wearing caps. And let me just see for a second there. Yeah, it looks like I see a couple of people out there that are wearing just sweats. Yeah, hey, you do what you have to do. I really wish that we could get together for our business breakfast today in person like we have always done. And I love getting to see all of you out there during the course of the morning for a couple hours, but I'm glad we could share this vital information. And it's like a new way to sell, a new way to recover and grow from this pandemic. We try to take lessons from this pandemic that we're in. So this is the way that we're going to do it. And I want to thank you for being online with us right now. And I also want to thank our friends at BNB Bank, the title sponsor of this WCBS BNB Bank virtual business breakfast. And they also are the sponsor for the WCBS Small Business Spotlight. It's a weekly podcast that features business owners who share their advice on business recovery and innovative ideas for growth. I think it's just a wonderful thing. And again, thank you very, very much to BNB Bank for all that they do for this and for the station throughout the course of the many months that we've been going through this and for the years as well. Now, your host obviously is going to be Joe Connolly. What can we say about Joe that we haven't said in all the other business breakfasts so far? But the thing is about Joe is that he's not just going to read numbers. When you get a business report from Joe, it's not just this went up and this went down and we have reds and greens and black and white numbers. Joe gives you the story behind it all, and we love him for it. And he does such an excellent job, and he always does an excellent job with all of these small business breakfasts that we have. So once again, the small business breakfast sponsored by BNB Bank, and I want to introduce to you our friend, your friend, Joe Connolly, to lead this virtual business breakfast. Joe?
Thank you, my friend, Craig. It's very good to hear you on the radio every day. Welcome to the WCBS BNB Bank virtual business breakfast on how sales has changed. It's been said we're going through 3 phases in all of this: response, recovery, and then reimagination. And we're between recovery and reimagination right now. This business breakfast is an example of that. We miss seeing you in person. We hope to see you in person again for sure. But many more people are able to watch this breakfast more easily than if we were meeting someplace. Today, you will see other business owners asking questions of the business owners you're about to meet, who have all increased sales during the pandemic. This is Don White, founder of Satisfi Labs, artificial intelligence that you can use to increase sales. And Don was the first man in New York who was ever able to explain in English what artificial intelligence does. You'll hear from him. This is Moksha Fitzgibbons, owner of NTWRK, that is a leader in a new way of selling that is very interesting and taking off, selling live online from your business or office. And this is Jennifer Decker, co-founder, along with Lisa J. Eggert, of 3 Moms Organics, tick and insect repellent, because Jennifer and Lisa J's families both had tick-borne problems. So they started 3 Moms Organics, the 2 of them. And the 3rd mom is their customer. What a nice marketing touch that is. We'll start with Don. Don, first briefly, what does Satisfi Labs do? And then in more detail, how have you changed how you sell?
Our mission as a company is to make knowledge on demand for popular destinations and experiences. So we build these conversational and custom search engines for brands like the New York Mets or any of your sports teams in New York. So when you go to an event or even like a music festival pre-COVID, you'd be able to get all your questions answered in real time so that you'd know exactly how to plan your trip, what you could buy while there, and how to get the most out of your experience. Obviously, COVID had a little effect on our business. 100% of our clients were affected in many ways, ranging from the theme parks to the zoos and museums that we cater to. Forced us to understand if our core mission was making knowledge on demand Maybe the knowledge just had to shift. So the first lesson that we learned was how quickly could we adapt to the new environment and stop staying in what we already knew, but could still solve a real problem for our customer. So we quickly had to get some product teams going, and then we quickly readjusted our sales force and their focus. And then we also adjusted how we deliver the product. All three of those things were really necessary for us to continue to grow sales when the pandemic really hurt us tremendously.
What was the main change that you made in how you sell?
The first is we moved from regional sales to vertical sales. So finding that this was a time our customers required more attention, expertise, and understanding in order to solve a problem for them. Whereas we might have someone covering Atlanta, where the Atlanta Falcons might be and the Georgia Aquarium might be. Well, those customers have things in common because their location. They don't have the same things in common when it comes to their needs during COVID. So moving to a vertical sales team meant that someone that covered all the other aquariums could now speak more intelligently about what aquariums are doing or need to get their customers back. That was number one, the major shift that we created.
So you sold based on area of expertise as opposed to where the sales rep was located.
Correct. And that became, I think, endearing to our customers because now they were able to learn as a community what other aquariums or other sporting teams were doing. And we were able to also help them in that advice. So we started building more vertical content that would provide us as an expert in the space to say, hey, if you want to reopen your location intelligently or with some good advice from your peers, not us, let's talk. And I think that actually leaned us into a lot of new customers that were looking for the same solutions.
Yeah, here's what your peers are doing through your Satisfi Labs sales rep. As a matter of fact, another business, Don told me, this may be rather cosmetic, but they changed what they called their sales reps to profitability consultants because they were telling their smaller business clients how their slightly larger clients were changing their sales operations. So this has worked out well, better, the same, what done?
Very well. I think it's actually encouraged us. The second change we made is we changed how we deliver our product. We used to sell it a la carte, which means you could buy small features and add-ons one at a time. After moving to verticals, it really made more sense for us to create bundles where there were multiple features packaged into one solution. And that helped with the current cost constraints of our customers with building in some usage performance metrics for growth in the future. That was a major change that came out of just getting closer to the customer through the verticals.
Moksha, tell us a little bit about what NTWRK does, and you're certainly helping other people change the way they sell. Have you changed the way you sell as well first?
Yeah, so for everyone out there, NTWRK is a live streaming e-commerce platform. Think the ease and appeal of sort of old school QVC and HSN, but in a format that is native to millennials. So everything is done in vertical video. It feels like an Instagram Live or a Snapchat type video product. And during those broadcasts, you can buy directly from it with one click. So yeah, to your point, I was thinking a little bit about how we've helped businesses grow their sales. And a really good example is we work with an artist out of a studio called Mr. Flower Fantastic, who's based in Chelsea. And pre-COVID, they worked exclusively with florals in the experiential space. So a company like Nike would hire them.
Then his following has gone so big. I mean, he's been commissioned to do work with Serena Williams, Travis Scott, and work for our beloved late Kobe Bryant.
When COVID sort of took hold, so to speak, that really wiped out their business to a large degree because there were none of these experiential events. We helped them conceptualize a way to create products that were adjacent to florals, but didn't have the perishability to it. And we've stood up a monthly interval with this artist studio called Mr. Flower Fantastic, where in short order by end of year, we'll drive 7 figures plus revenue for them around exclusive product drops in our live streaming e-commerce application. So it's a good way like that we're helping small businesses, or it's an example of how we're helping very small independent businesses. And then there's obviously helping the larger brands like an Apple or a Nike, et cetera, reach consumers in the palm of their hand in an entertaining, engaging format. In Asia, live streaming e-commerce is really popular, but here in the States, no one has really sort of cracked the code. And I think we are the first movers in that space, and certainly the first folks to have a lot of traction and scale in that environment.
How have you changed, if you have, the way that you sell your product?
So we have, similar to what Don was saying, we verticalized things. You know, as a startup, you know, the business is only about 18 months old. It was a lot of people wearing a lot of hats, so people would cover multiple categories of business. As we've found a lot of success, raised some capital, we've hired more people and verticalized the outreach. We sort of think of people as partnership folks. So they're either partnering with retailers or partnering with brands or partnering with artists to help them create a compelling content story and couple that with an exclusive merchandise offering. And that verticalization, to Don's point, creates experts in that category, and then they can be very solution oriented with retailers, artists, talent, brand, whoever sort of the customer is, to help them be most effective and efficient on our platform.
When you say verticalization, you mean specialty silo, right?
Correct. So we have one person that works on the beer and spirits category, another person that works on soft goods like apparel, streetwear type product, another person that works on accessories and collectibles. All these things behind me, we've sold at some point to someone that works on art and home goods. And that verticalization and expertise goes a long way in terms of understanding of the category and truly being a partner with the client to give them the success that they need on the platform.
And then how often would somebody who wants to sell online do that? And how do they find people to watch?
So it depends on the brand or the talent or the retailer, what their interval of new product offerings are. I would say in most cases, we endeavor to have one exclusive piece of content and product drop from each partner. So in the case of the floral studio that I was mentioning before, on the 23rd of every month, they have a new broadcast with us with a new product offering. So they've been able to sort of calendarize that and create some dependency and efficiency around those revenues. Some people might have only 4 meaningful or 6 meaningful product offerings a year, and we're happy to work with them in that capacity. But I think for the fan, for the consumer base, it's good to have that frequency of once a month or maybe even more frequent depending on what the product offering is.
People watch, customers watch.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a huge increase in content engagement from March to April. I think like everyone, we battened down the hatches because we didn't know what the effects of the shutdown and, you know, social distancing were going to be. And one of those sort of, you know, effects that we didn't see when we were a little nervous was that people are home. They have more time on their hands. They want to be entertained more. So they started spending more time with the content. They started visiting the app on off hours. Like we started to see a lot of consumption late at night, which just spoke to the fact that people were home more, they were social distancing. And as a result, the more content consumption equated to more product sales. And we've seen the business that just exploded from March to April, doubling. And then we'll probably finish the year growing somewhere between 500 and 600%, depending on how Q4 shapes up.
Wow. Jennifer Decker had a real curveball thrown at her, and she and her business partner are way up this year too. Tell us how you, Jennifer, have changed how you sell.
Well, during the pandemic, all of our stores were closed. So there was no way to get our product into stores at that time. And both Lisa J and myself were both home quarantined, and we couldn't even make the product. So a lot of our product was sitting on the shelves downstairs, and we had to figure out a way to not only increase sales for ourselves, but to get our product in people's hands. It is important that you don't want to get bit by a tick and have an underlying condition when there's a pandemic going on. You want to keep yourself as healthy as possible. And a lot of times people were going out and hiking and spending time outside and not really finding that protection. They didn't have it in the stores. So that's where the two of us got together and decided to listen to the free webinars that were available to us through the small businesses. And we wound up increasing our sales up 1,051% for the year just on online.
1,000, more than 1,000% online totally, or was that on Facebook a lot, or where?
Well, a lot of the times we were doing Facebook ads, and in that we could see that our sales were going up. At one point during our season, before the stores opened, we were up 6,000% for that time period. Now that our season is short here in New York, even though it shouldn't be because there's ticks out year round. Now that we evened it out, it's about over 1,000% online in our sales. And then when our stores were opening back up, we were ready to go. And we actually were up 44% on our wholesale with our stores this year as well.
What worked best for you? What type of ad online worked best?
The personal ads, the things that I'm trying to get more comfortable with, things like this, the live videos. A lot of times when we had an ad with my kids in it, those would be bigger sellers. But most of all, Lisa J had done a tick drag and accumulated maybe 20 ticks in an 8-minute cycle. And we have what we call the pink paper ad. And we had sprayed all around the outside and put the ticks in the middle, and you could see that they just won't go past the barrier. And then she blew dry it to show, even when it dries on your clothing, that the ticks don't want to go near it. And that ad has definitely given us the most website sales and, the most overall interacting, people talking and us saying that they love the product on there, and us be able to have them in turn give a coupon code to somebody they know. So we were really trying to work on our customer loyalty as well.
And Jennifer, what can you tell other business owners who want to start selling live online from their store or whatever, what you have learned about, quote, doing things like this, being live online?
It pays, you just have to kind of get comfortable. And, I love to talk about our business. I'm really proud of our business and the partnership that Lisa J and I have. So I can talk about it. And I think believe it or not, Zoom is making me a little bit more nervous. I think the face-to-face is a little bit better. But as far as what I could tell other people is to really focus on those free things, the free webinars. And, we had nothing to do when we were home. Not that we had nothing to do, but we were able to, still take care of my kids and shuffle around the house while I had my earphones in listening to webinars. And I really took advantage of that and learned a lot. Learning that, when someone wants to be directed to our website, to go right to the shop page. That was huge for us. Our sales went up just from doing that.
What page?
Right to our shop page. So our website, when people were signing on to it, it was going to our story and everything like that, which is fine because if people want to know about us, they could go to the About Us part. But to actually be able to go right to the shop page and they could see the product right there and be able to purchase it instead of having to navigate around our website, you don't have that much time. People are get bored. They want to be able to just get in there, make their purchase, and go. If they want to find more information, they can look on their own.
Wow, that's a great lesson. Let's jump to a couple of questions that we have for any one of you who wants to answer, or all of you. Here's our first question.
Thank you for answering my questions. My name's Anita Manfredonia, and I own a women's fashion boutique in Flushing, New York. During the pandemic, I closed my store and started a website. My employees were furloughed, and now I find myself doing pretty much everything. So I wanted to know what you think my top 3 priorities should be now that my store is open and my website is going.
Anybody? Top 3 priorities to get back in business.
Boost revenue. That would be number 1 for me. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a challenging spot. I would say do as much as you can to build that online revenue and try and grow that as efficiently, as effectively as you can. And then, reopen that store in a safe way and to sort of bring back your customer base as best you can, and introduce those folks to your online piece in case there's sort of another crisis again. But I think, like all small businesses, revenue really dictates the success of them, for better or worse, and I would focus on those things. And if the revenue comes, you can figure out the staffing, the costs, all of that will follow from the revenues.
We had early in the pandemic a couple of the sharks from Shark Tank on, and their advice early would apply to somebody asking that question, Anita. Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, told us, stay in touch with every single customer who has ever bought from you, because they've already bought from you. So send them updates a couple times a week even, he said, to your existing customers. And Barbara Corcoran said, assume that you're going to lose all your customers. Make 2 columns. Where did I get this customer? How did this customer come to me? And then in the other column, how will I replace them if they went away? Any other thoughts on top priorities, or where each of you are now, Don or Jennifer?
I was going to say that, sorry, I'll let Jennifer go.
Go ahead. No, please go. Go ahead.
I was going to say what I've really learned when you reset a business, the cost management side is an opportunity. Who you bank with, what relationships or vendors you have right now. Now is a great time to shop for a better rate or a better priced option. So we've looked at new bank accounts. There are people offering incentives to move products. So whether it's your employees, I don't know if your employees have like a healthcare program where we offer healthcare. Now we were able to reduce our healthcare costs by 40% going into 2021 just because of how we worked with our partner who wanted to retain us. And even though it's 25 employees, they were very interested in offering us the ability to do that. So I just think while boost revenue is absolutely how you keep the business going, now is a great time to reduce your overhead going into the next year.
Jen.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was just going to go back to like what Barbara said about the customers. We were able to, because we had a little bit more time, to really look and see who our customers were, going through analytics and finding out exactly who is buying our product. And then not only that, when we saw orders come through, when we saw that it was a reorder, we put a handwritten note in there with an extra 2-ounce bottle thanking them for ordering from us. And I think that little touch that we were able to do then, I mean, hopefully going forward, when we get busier, we make sure that we always put the customers first. And that's what we were trying to do.
Very nice. We'll have more questions from viewers. I want to go now, though, to Kevin O'Connor, the President and Chief Executive Officer of BNB Bank, our sponsor today, and just ask Kevin, from a banker's point of view, what are you hearing here in the discussion so far?
I'm amazed. I can say first, I'm jealous. I'm the only one in my office, so I'm jealous of people that can work from home. But honestly, I think somebody said before that they spent the time sort of learning how to be different in the various resources that were there. I feel like that anytime I get to participate in this, and to see the arc of the conversation today and how you learned how to sell differently, whether it be visual sales, whether it be sort of verticalization. I heard, that word used twice. I'm listening, trying to figure out how I can do things differently in our organization. Our organization was certainly built on a lot of personal contact, but we've had to readjust and re-engineer how we do it. But the idea of reaching out to those customers, identifying how you got them, as you said, creating that sort of different experience. I think the comment you would put at the end, sort of loyalty, is very important. I think in this time, people were figuring out ways that they could shop locally or do things to help our industries that were hurt. And I think that you want to play on that. And I like the idea too of looking at it both ways, obviously trying to drive revenue, but cost containment. And you have to make sure that you remember that when things get back to normal, whatever that is defined as. But all of these organizations, I'm leaving here with more. I want to talk to them all and figure out how I can change our business, because I know our business is going to change in this process, and how we take what was in all of them sort of personal service and a more hands-on approach to now make it digital.
And Kevin, BNB Bank has been in the news recently because these issues will become important to Kevin, because BNB Bank is merging with Dime Bank, and they will grow larger. Kevin, I just would ask you, why did you merge the banks? And is there any parallel lesson there to the advantages that you found that business owners could find in merging with somebody or creating a new partnership with a large partner?
I think for us, we looked at the merger again. Our success has been somewhat boots on the ground. We build our business through branching, or at least having people close to our customers, so that we can be that trusted advisor. And for us, over the last dozen years, it's continuing to move our franchise from east to west. And this is a chance to basically put together and touch all of the landmass of Long Island. It puts us with branches in Brooklyn and Queens. It gives us the size and scale to invest in the kind of technology that we think we need to have. I think somebody said before about looking at your bank to make sure they're providing all the services they can provide, which means that we have to have the best digital products. And we're a small business compared to a lot of our competitors. We don't have technology budgets that begin with B's, billions. And so we have to figure out a way to accomplish that in a different way. And so for us, it's about personal service, but having all the products and the payment systems that, all of these digital platforms require payment systems and ways for people to interact, in some cases without physically going into a branch, but at least knowing they had a banker in the background. So, it was an opportunity for us to provide the scale to continue to invest in our business, and also to grow with our customers. As we have seen, and I think what's interesting is all of these small businesses here, many of them are still talking about their customers being rather large. And for us, it's the same thing. So we want to make sure we have the scale that we can grow with our customers.
And what would you suggest to somebody if they are thinking about merging or a partnership? What would be the number one thing you would tell a business owner thinking about a new arrangement?
I think it's important to make sure that the person that you're going to become a partner with, you want to be with. In the case of myself and my colleague at the Dime, we spent the better part of 6 months sort of figuring out that our cultures would match. You cannot put two companies together and think just because you're bigger, you'll be better if you have competing or conflicting cultures. And we don't. We both value the customer. We value that, we provide a service. All of these businesses that we deal with, their main job is to sell products, satisfy their employees, manage their costs. Banking should be something on the side, providing advice and counsel and providing the capital, but not trying to get in and try to sell them the product that they need. It's listening and hearing and delivering the things that can help them. And both of our organizations felt that going in. So I think a merger needs to be something that's thought about beyond just the financial part. It's the social and the cultural issues are critically important.
Thank you for all your BNB's support of business news on WCBS. Thanks a lot, Kevin.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Let's go to another viewer question, see what the three business owners have to say.
Hi, I'm Leslie Tane. I'm the founder and director of the Tane Law Group. We concentrate in consumer and business debt resolution and alternatives to bankruptcy. The question I have today for Joe Connolly and the panel is, have you done any networking that has helped with sales during the pandemic?
There's a good question. Have you done any networking that's worked? Anybody?
I can speak quickly to that. I haven't had a like Zoom happy hour experience that drove sales. I have been open to helping people that were unemployed as a result of the pandemic, and honestly, some of those relationships have really benefited our company. But we didn't go into it. I didn't personally go into it with a goal of that. It was more about, listen, I believe that as a community, the professional work group has to help each other through this time, and however we can help people, either in industries that we work in, even in relationships I had as former customers. I just felt it was important to try to be there for those people, even a conversation. Sometimes hope is what you need to get through that environment. That type of networking actually, although maybe not designed for it, did really some tremendous things. So in your business, as you're thinking about it, I think sometimes without overtly networking just to create business, sometimes in this time, I think by helping others, that will drive your business, and the service you provide is absolutely very relevant.
How so, Don? How did volunteer work, if I understand you correctly, help your business so much?
So LinkedIn, they actually have created like the open to networking, which I haven't put on mine, but I sought it out through people I was connected with. And as soon as I saw or reached out, I was able to provide them some benefits of either talking through what opportunities they were looking for, ways that they could potentially help us. And then they would in turn say, well, how can I help you? And I would say, well, we're looking for this, that, or the other. And so there was a reciprocal opportunity where it's not a large group necessarily, so it's smaller scale, but each of those people talks to somebody else. And sometimes the network effects of that is actually greater than a large room of handing out virtual Zoom business cards, if that's a thing.
Hey everyone, my name is Ladigoski. I am the co-founder of NextCore Media Digital Marketing Agency in New York City. Right now I'm recording this on a beautiful Wednesday here in Fresh Meadows, Queens. And during the pandemic, just being in the online space and online marketing, we've seen nothing but upside in what we're doing. We've really helped like several e-commerce businesses, service providers, really to keep afloat during these difficult times. And really using the internet to our advantage, like using social media, email marketing, SEO, and a lot of tactics that are really, advantageous to a lot of people nowadays. So my question to Joe and the panel is, what industries really need this the most? What industries really are suffering at this current time that really need, that impact of digital marketing, something that like someone like myself can provide to help, bring them up to speed, bring them into like a new age of, trying to keep their business going and bring in more leads and more sales. Let me know. And thank you very much. Have a good one.
All right. Leads.
I'd say retail probably needs it the most right now. If you think about some of the previous people that came on and asked questions, like small proprietors in the retail space who probably aren't super advanced digitally, like a Walmart or an Amazon would be the folks that would be in most, sort of in a need state for those types of services. And if I was that gentleman, that's where I would be looking to help people.
Let's go to Neil Caruso, producer Neil A. Caruso right now, who's been monitoring some of the questions coming in. Do you have a couple of there, Neil, that have come in?
Yeah, Joe, one of them, and this is really perfect for Jennifer, how do you navigate platforms like Facebook and Google to get the best return on investment?
Well, what we did was we learned, it took some time, it definitely a learning curve for us, but we learned through Google ads and through Facebook Messenger ads, the analytics. We sat and listened again to webinars, and we actually had an intern and then also picked the brains of professionals that we know to try to find out how we hone in to who our target audience is. And also understanding our SEO and how it relates to your business through Google Analytics and Facebook Messenger ads.
What is the key way to target in?
For me, is that for me as well?
Yeah.
Well, you know, our following is mostly women, probably LJ, what would you say, 75 to 80% women from the age of 34 to 55. So then now we could start to think about what kind of big stores we're ready to scale up. We've worked really hard, and we've taken the revenue that we've made, and we're setting ourselves up for a fantastic season next year. And to do that, we needed to know who was buying our product and which stores. I mean, we would like to be in Whole Foods, and that's exactly the people that we see that shop there. So that's what we're trying to do.
So
we also, one other thing that I wanted to mention before was we actually took this time and we signed up for the Women's Business Enterprise and Small Business Association and Women-Owned Business, and we've gotten our certifications for those programs and networked within them to learn a little bit more of what we should be doing and what we should be targeting.
Neil, another one?
Yeah, Joe, the next one, and this is for anybody, how do you work within a limited marketing budget to keep customer acquisition costs down while targeting the right prospective customers?
I can speak to that. It's creativity is the number one word. We actually slashed marketing to 0 from, I think, April through July, August. And I think there was a lot of focus around, you know, writing a customer a handwritten note as an example of very inexpensive marketing. So thinking of just creative ways to either use LinkedIn, more personalization, starting to think about exactly how we could get, if we're going to spend money on one ad, let's say, or 2 ads, like a minimal budget even for a month, what exactly would we like to do? We actually spent more time in deeper content. So like we created a white paper for the tourism industry that they would have a reopening roadmap per se. And that became our one marketing investment for, let's say, a 6 to 8 week period, because we knew that it could be easily transferred. It could be emailed, it could be posted on the web. We could use Facebook to get it out. But that one asset where we spent a lot of time, instead of maybe in the past spreading that investment across 10 or 12 assets. So I think it's just very strategic quality, small investments that can be transferred a lot of channels. That's how we were able to acquire new customers and keep our CAC down.
Moksha, do any of your prospective clients say this is too complicated or too expensive for me to do? Do you run into that as an objection?
Sometimes you run into price as an issue, but then, you know, if price is an issue, you just have to get creative on what the solution is. There should be a scalable solution for all of our partners. And to answer your question about like the complication piece of it, not so much. I mean, most of the independent business owners, or certainly the larger businesses, you know, they're pretty in tune with how to create sort of socially driven vertical video, which is the means in which we transact. So there's not too much of that. Sometimes we have to do a little bit of like an onboarding with them. And sometimes we have to help them with the content. For example, if they're, you know, a small business that just doesn't have the means to create the content that will ultimately sell the product, we'll step in and partner with them, and we'll hire an influencer or someone relevant to host that content. And it kind of feels like a, you know, modern day millennial tuned QVC episode. So there's different, I would say we have a suite of offerings that can help depending on the sort of knowledge base of the client or brand we're working with.
Let's see another question that's come in.
Hi, my name's Anna Marinovic. I am the CEO of Numanity. We are a leadership and management consultancy that focuses on business transformation. Now, I founded this business in January of this year, although I had run a similar company in London for the last 6 years. And fortunately for us, we're in high demand, given that we provide services to companies that are going through crisis and turnaround. But my question for Joe Connolly and the panel is, what advice do you have for those companies that are starting up during the pandemic? And what do you see are the biggest opportunities and the biggest risks when it comes to sales and marketing?
Anybody have some thoughts? Startups, risks.
First thing is talent. I believe now is the biggest talent opportunity we've seen in, 10 years. I mean, when you think about, particularly in management consulting, can you imagine the amount of experts that are potentially, because of cost cuts, not fully employed today? I think this opportunity is great for starting a company because now you know the environment coming in. You know that there will be some cost management that can be saved. You know you can get people into the company that might not have been available to join a startup. Their aptitude or their interest is probably a better word of joining something and growing it is now probably very high. And you will potentially get new entrepreneurs that will rise out of this, willing to go to a small company where before, if you're at a big company, sometimes it's hard to leave that very secure environment for a more risky entry point. So I would focus heavily right now on talent as my number one priority in trying to build that business.
Startup advice, Moksha and Jennifer. You've worked for a number of companies, Moksha, I know.
Jennifer, do you want to go first? I felt like you were getting ready to go.
No, learning from you guys. Again, I'm taking advantage of this and learning from you guys. It's super interesting. So please go ahead.
I would say, like, I'm starting a new business right now. If I were going to do it, I would definitely make sure that there is an absolute need case for that business that is in the wake of sort of the consumer behavior change that's happened with coronavirus. I think some things will go back somewhat to normal, like people's appetite to travel, but the way they travel might be different. So I think if you were going to go into that area, you'd really want to make sure you account for some of these new behaviors and new concerns or new opportunities that consumers will afford you. And, I think that I would be wary to start a business that was based on a pre-coronavirus mindset, because I think there are some consumer behaviors that have just changed forever. I sort of look at myself and, I used to go to Whole Foods all the time. Now I order it through Amazon Prime. I don't think I'll ever go back to a Whole Foods, or certainly not with the frequency that I once did. So I think you need to think through that need case and make sure you are well positioned to be a business for the future and not one of the past.
That's an interesting point about making certain that there's a need for this product. Have you, Moksha, or anybody else ever started a new project or even a new business and found that actually there wasn't as much need as you hoped, and then changed the need and adapted it to meet some other need? Any pivot experience like that at all?
I would say on our business with NTWRK, not an exact example, but something that happened is, when we first launched the business, we thought the content needed to be beautiful cinematography that felt like linear television or something that was on HBO, super high quality premium content. And what we found is the consumers want really a personal connection with the talent and the brands. They want it to feel like they're on FaceTime with the host, with the celebrity, whoever's, that sort of participating in the content. And then they want an up close personal look at that product. And it's the blend of sort of that personal connection, like they would be conversing with one of their friends or one of their peers. And then that peers look at this product, in this case, the influencer or the celebrities look at the product. And that content has frankly been much shorter in duration and much more efficient to produce. Like all of the sort of like high-end in-studio ultra premium stuff we were doing with long run times, we really shifted to a more personal, shorter format that's been more effective. So it's more a function of what sort of realizing what resonates with consumers and what drives the most value. So something we thought was like ultra premium and people would sort of, really fall in love with, kind of ended up being the opposite, that things that were shorter form, more personal, felt more relevant, and ultimately were much less costly, were more effective.
Isn't that interesting?
Hi, my name is Marvin Getman, and I run antiquarian book fairs in the New York area and in the Northeast. And last March, needless to say, my book fair business came to a halt with COVID. So I wasn't ready to retire, so I sat down to a computer and started to design what I envisioned as the perfect platform for running book fairs virtually. And so I call it Getman's Virtual Book and Paper Fairs. We run monthly, and I've started to license the software to other organizers of fairs, antique shows, book fairs. We even had a tribal arts show on there. So it's been very profitable. In fact, well, my overhead is lower for sure. You can see I'm working in my house. So my question is, now that I'm licensing it, are there any other areas and industries where my platform might be able to be used and where I might go after other licenses?
Don, you look like you're thinking about buying his company.
I was thinking about the total addressable market of antique books and trying to calculate what other industries would be appropriate. I mean, when we saw that video, I said to myself, well, is the platform, is this an e-commerce platform for, like, I look at garage sales, I think is the first thing that comes to mind. I think the garage sale is an antiquated commerce experience. Someone on my block actually just did one last weekend. I thought, who in their right mind is going to go walk over to somebody's house and go through the things that they don't want anymore, that are probably going to the curb if they're not purchased? So I think, there's Craigslist, which is sometimes a great and difficult thing to search on. So if the platform were maybe used in the same way he's doing book fairs into like garage fairs, I think that could be a cool opportunity that I don't think anyone has focused on that narrowly. But I think it's a similar transition that could be made.
Moksha?
I'd agree. In seeing that video, I thought, really interesting idea. I love the idea of taking what were really successful experiential events and making them virtual. Obviously, that's what my business is based on. And when he spoke to the book fairs, it just sort of resonated with me because we're doing an art fair, as Art Basel and these other fairs have gotten canceled. We're doing a 2-day art fair, December 5th and 6th, that will feature 40 artists live streaming, telling their story creatively, and then selling their product. And it personally sparked my interest, like, hey, is there an opportunity in the book arena? I thought perhaps like the approach could use some updating. But I think that's, I think if we are to look at the things that were, from a commerce perspective, that were super successful from an experience perspective, and then virtualizing them, there's a lot of opportunity there. Because to Don's point, there's some risk factors in the experience space that certainly half of Americans aren't comfortable with. So if you can capitalize on that, there's probably a big business opportunity.
How did you make your first big sale, or tell us about the best sale that you ever made? Just to encourage people and give them ideas from your stories. First sale or best sale?
I definitely have the best sale because it's in a chapter in a book and I'm looking for it. Someone actually chronicled it. It was actually when we got Macy's. It was a phenomenal, like very early customer for us. And the reason I think it was the best sale is I think we had 5 employees, and Macy's has more than that in like, a dressing room typically in normal days. I think the opportunity there was we built up credibility by meeting with IBM, who is been a great partner, and saying, look, we have this opportunity with Macy's. And then we met with Macy's and said, we have this great opportunity with IBM, and we were the glue. And so I think being able to be connected with those 2 brands and actually add value that could kind of bring a technology solution together was still one of my personally proudest moments, I think, because they saw something in us, they gave us credibility, we were able to convince them that we could bring something to them. And then when the press went out and my name was in the, somewhere at the bottom of the paragraph, I think it just really encouraged me that sometimes you have to dream bigger. And I think a lot of people, even myself in previous years, would never have had the guts to actually approach both of those entities with an idea and seeing it actually come to fruition. And then I remember one day Macy's, we had a big meeting there and someone said, oh, so when are we going to meet the rest of the team? Yeah. And I said, well, all the employees are here. A little nervous moment. But yeah, that to me will still go down and something that can never be taken away from me.
Don, that's a great story. How did you get someone in authority, though, on the phone at Macy's or IBM? So many people want to do that. How'd you get through to a decision maker at the beginning?
The true story is that I was talking to everybody I could about, getting a big retailer. I even went to friends, my parents. Every person just said, hey, is there anyone that any of you know or any of your friends know at Macy's? And a board member was a deacon at our church and said, yeah, I'll set up the meeting. And it was that random of just continuing to ask, I have a trading background from my finance days, ask for the order. So I think we just need to ask very specifically, do you know anyone at a high level position of a major retailer, or could you ask your friends? And my parents were the last 2 people I thought would actually be the ones to channel that, and it ended up being them. Meanwhile, I had gone to 1,000 professionals that I'd known throughout my career, and my parents ended up having the connection that got us in the door.
Unbelievable. Moksha, one of your favorite sales stories?
Well, I'm hopeful that the best one is yet to come when we exit from this business. But I think the best would be when we sold my last business, Complex, to Verizon and to Hearst, for hundreds of millions of dollars. That was pretty great day, and great sort of elevation, or living on an elevation for a couple months after that. But those are the big ones on a personal basis, like when you sell a business. But I think there's also like really meaningful ones in helping some of these independent business owners or artists on my current business with NTWRK, helping them conceptualize consumer products that are relevant to their business and to their brand, and helping market those and helping commercialize those and turning into meaningful revenue streams for them, particularly in 2020, which has been really full of a number of different crises from a business perspective. So helping folks in that area, they might not be the biggest financial wins, like it's not hundreds of millions of dollars, but if you can help a small business make an incremental 1 million, 1.5 million, that truly is a big win for that individual proprietor.
One of my favorite stories is when the bus driver came up to us and said she smelled the Fremont Organics and said, oh, I love this smell. All the kids on the bus smell like this. So just knowing our community, if they're using it Our kids, they trust us. We sent it away for efficacy. We know that it's a great product. And now we're trying to not just have the support of our local community, but getting out there, selling a product.
Well, how nice that this program ends with talking about bringing your partners or clients or customers or contacts together and helping other people to grow their businesses. That is our mission with these breakfasts that we've done for years. If you want to contact us, you can do so. Just go to WCBS880.com. There's a word there that says connect, and you can call or email. And thank you very much for all of you for sharing your ideas and stories to help give other business owners ideas for their businesses. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We hope that you found this virtual WCBS BNB Bank Business Breakfast useful and interesting, and hopefully you got some ideas that you can adapt to your business as well. That's exactly what we try to do on the radio every day, twice an hour, to give you the business headlines, which are the talking points of the day, but also we'll often give you the reason why a business is doing something, or tell you what the trend is that they see, because you may be able to capitalize on it as well. And when possible, we'll give you a chuckle or an uplifting business story for the day. Thank you for your time. Talk to you on the radio.